Hi there, I'm Lisa Avery, and I'm a positive psychologist. And this is just a little message to any parents who are alienated from their children this Christmas. I just wanted to reach out to say that I know this is likely going to be a difficult Christmas for you. Um, Christmas for everyone at the best of times can feel like a pretty poignant, nostalgic time. And I think so much of what I've learned in the last few years has been that all of life's experiences do tend to have that bittersweet feel to them, don't they? Few things in life are entirely positive or entirely negative. And Christmas is one of those that is so mixed, so emotionally nuanced. And I just wanted to acknowledge that first and foremost. It probably will feel like a bit of a hard time, but I wanted to talk about how you can maybe rid yourself of the slightly more negative emotions, and start to just do a few simple things to find that tiny little bit of joy, and whatever glimmer of joy can be found at that time. So I would say that my greatest revelation from psychology ever was the fact that it's okay not to be okay. And one of my favorite psychologists you might like to check out, Dr. Susan David, she speaks about the power of whatever we repress tends to grow stronger inside of us. So any thoughts, any feelings, anything that's going on for you that you're not expressing, that you're keeping inside, it is going to have power over you in some way. So think about it. It's like we're constantly trying to make sense of things in this life, aren't we? We tend to only dream about the things that are unresolved in our life. And that is because the subconscious is constantly trying to make sense of things. And especially in this situation where, things have gone on that don't seem fair, you don't understand why. I think there is that whole trying to make sense of this. Um, and so for me, probably my biggest takeaway has been the power of putting words to experience, whether that's with a friend, a family member, someone you trust, or even if you don't reach out to another person, to actually take a diary, take a piece of paper or a blank screen, and just to write it down or type it out. What is going on for you in your head, There is nothing too shameful or sad or ridiculous to put into words. Every single human emotion that we experience to date has survived evolution, over centuries and centuries. So no emotion is ever right or ever wrong. It's simply your lived experience at that time. And actually just allowing yourself the time and space to put words to your experience, the moment you get them out, you start to make sense of them. When you make sense of them, you can move on, albeit temporarily, but we're looking for the simplest, easiest ways to get through this moment. And I think a part of it for me, it's not repressing anything negative that comes up, if not giving that a voice, because you will free yourself from that by expressing it in some way. Now, when you manage to free yourself from some of those negative emotions, and I understand that emotions are fleeting, they come and go. So this might be something you need to do several times over the Christmas period. But as you notice those emotions, put words to them, free yourself of them, free yourself from them. Um, when you're in a place where you're feeling kind of neutral, then might be the time to start noticing just the tiny little glimmers of joy, just the tiny little things that are good about your life or about that moment. Maybe not even life. Maybe we just kind of really, really zoom in on this moment in time. It's that idea from psychology that all human suffering exists in the past or in the future. Okay. So because of past memories and trauma, or because of fears and anxieties around the future. Now, my question for you would be, what can you do to stay really, really centered in that present moment? Now, there's something at the start of lockdown that I found really helpful, and you'll probably laugh, okay? Because I'm a 41-year-old as I'm telling you this. But at the start of lockdown, I got myself one of those adult coloring books, okay? And I got myself a glass of Prosecco, and I sat and I coloured, no word of a lie. I coloured unicorns and sipped a few bubbles, and I was just really, really intent, really focused on that present moment. And there is so much power to this. We know from psychology, it's this concept called flow. So, where you're really in the moment, you lose all sense of time, you lose all sense of self, and you are just immersed in that present moment. There is no suffering there. All your concentration, your thoughts, your anxieties, your ruminations melt away when you can find anything. It could be cooking, it could be writing, it could be reading, it could be playing sport, out walking, going for a deep cold water swim. You could be doing anything, but anything that engages all of your attention so that you're not sitting alone ruminating, okay? If not being lost in the present moment as much as possible. If you can find something, any activity that allows you to do that, that will be such a great distraction from this time, I think. Um, when you're feeling able, ready and able, it would be really nice to just start noticing the good things in life. So, human beings have this thing called the negativity bias of the brain. And it means wherever there's bad or wherever there's good, we will first notice the bad because the bad is that which can endanger our survival. Now, clearly, when you've got a family situation going on that is less than perfect, and let's be honest, many of us have, it's really, really easy to focus only on that, only on the bad things. So, what can we actively do to train our brain to start to focus on the good? And we have found in psychology that if you're able to keep a gratitude journal, so simply at the end of each day, just writing three things that you're grateful for, just three things, however simple, be it that first coffee in the morning, that walk on a beautiful wintry morning sunrise, anything, a friend, just a friend holding that space so you can really get this off your chest. Absolutely anything, how seemingly small and insignificant to large and spectacular, it doesn't matter. Just anything that you're grateful for. We know from psychology that if you can do that, you can take yourself from the 15th to the 50th percentile of well-being in a couple of weeks. Now, I know this is a bit of a tricky time, so I don't know if that will stand true at this moment, but I certainly think it will give you a boost. Certainly think it will elevate you. Um, and also, it gives you something to look forward to. You start each day knowing that you will be noticing the great things about that day, however small, however insignificant. Um, the other thing to bear in mind is that for human beings, life is all about connection. You know, we find a sense of meaning, a sense of purpose when we connect with others, when we lose ourselves helping others. So, whilst you might be suffering and not feeling great, is there anything you can do to reach out to somebody, to lose yourself and your own thoughts? Can you do anything that can make anybody else's life that tiny, tiny bit better? Be it, just taking a bit of food near Christmas for a homeless person, be it reaching out to a person who might be in a position like yours to see how they're doing. Is there anything you can do to transcend your own suffering and your own sadness to just give that other person a bit of a lift? Because I think you'll be amazed at how much it really elevates you too. Um, we say in psychology that life is about these micro moments of love and connection. So just those moments whenever perhaps you're buying a coffee at a local Starbucks, or maybe you're just, the postwoman's bringing you a letter, a Christmas card, just those moments, those brief seconds where you can engage with another person, smile, Ask them how they're doing. Make them feel seen and heard and important for just those few seconds. How many of those moments, those micro moments of love and connection, can you create over the Christmas period? I challenge you to find some, to create some. You know, ultimately, this is about whatever is going to empower you, whatever is going to bring you a tiny little glimmer of joy. And I think if you're able to put words to your experience, be it alone in writing or in person through words, through a Zoom call, through an in person visit, if you're able to put words to your experience, if you're able to find just three simple, great things each day, if you're able to lose yourself in a moment of flow, so get really engaged in a book you're reading, film you're watching, a walk or a swim or a dance, whatever it takes, if you're able to do those three things, and perhaps on top of that, just reach out to another person who, like you, might need that teeny weeny bit of extra support, I think you'll be in a really, really great place. And I guess the final thing to say is the psychology of hope, the power of having that little bit of hope. Okay. Most human beings, we say, overestimate how bad they'll feel and for how long. So people tend to think when something awful happens that they'll feel bad for much, much longer than they actually do. Human beings are immensely resilient. Okay. So I know that you can and will get through this time. Um, there are three P's of optimism versus pessimism. So the reason most people suffer in this life, it's because they take things very personally. They think that things are pervasive. So if something's wrong in one aspect of life, they think that it makes every other aspect of life bad. And they think things are permanent, so they'll last forever. So what can you do to challenge your thinking around these three things? Not everything is your fault, okay? I'm certain of that because it's just nothing is ever just one person's fault. Not everything lasts forever. Life is constantly evolving, constantly changing. And no matter how difficult one aspect of life, I think we can almost always find tiny, tiny nuggets of joy in other areas too. So try at a good moment to challenge your thinking, and a great way to do that is to say to yourself, actually, right now, I'm having the thought that, or right now, I'm feeling that. You see, if you can make a little space, a separation between your thoughts and your feelings and your lived experience, in those few seconds, you can challenge it, right? There is so much power to doing that. You see, human beings tend to believe that everything they think is real or true. I think, my a big realization for me was the fact that not everything I think and feel is real. I mean, my feelings are real, but the thoughts behind them aren't always real. And sometimes we've got to challenge our thoughts. Above all, I think getting through this time, whatever way it takes, whilst ever, it's the kind of ways that I'm talking about there is just great and it's healthy. And I think, recognize that sometimes are going to be difficult. I know that when my lovely granny died, I spent the day drinking Prosecco and eating giant chocolate buttons in bed. I thought, oh no, turning into a fat alcoholic now. But there was this kind of desire to give into it. I think sometimes you've just got to give in to the negative emotion, got to allow yourself that time and space to cry, to get angry, to get frustrated. But you have to know these emotions will pass. Emotions, by their very nature, are really transient. They will come and go. Once you've let those emotions go, you've put words to them, you've freed yourself from them, then is the time to focus on love. Those micro moments of love with whoever is around, doesn't matter who, even with the post lady, even with the person serving your coffee, a neighbor. Find and create those micro moments of love and connection. Find and create that little bit of flow where you just lose yourself. and see if at the end of the day you can make a conscious note of the three simplest, loveliest things about your day. Doesn't matter how humble. I'm sending you all so much love at this time. It is just a short period of time. Like everything, the good and the bad, it absolutely shall pass. Sending you all lots and lots of love, wishing you a magical time where possible, and all the very, very best for 2022. Take good care. Bye.